Story. Dragged onto a bus after I died. Mortimer and I stood on the porch of the house. We watched black mist coil, twist and roll in waves as if it were foaming on a shore. Mortimer pricked his ears up at the sound of a faint hum of a diesel engine. The sound increased. The hum was getting closer to us. I watched the area. Mortimer's eyes were fixed on something in the distance. To the left of the house, two amber bulbs in the haze grew as they approached. A double-decker bus pushed through the black mist as if it were a snowplow pushing through deep snow. Rolling closer, closer. Finally, I could see the driver. He wore a cap that covered his eyes and white gloves. The bus veered left as it rolled to a stop, presenting the side door to the house. The door folded open to one side with a clang, exposing 3 steps. A thin man in a top hat, cravat, and black evening jacket stepped off the bus carrying a cane. "Patron of the house, nice to see you again." "Maybrick," I said. "When are you going to leave this dreary place?" Maybrick said. "A second after you have completed your tour on the bus." Now, no need to get snappy, Guardian. I have something for you. A pretty little thing. Vile like the others, but this is her stop." Maybrick turned and gestured to a young girl in joggers and a black hoodie on the bus. She had a green light attached to her hoodie neckline. Movement on the top floor caught my eye. A figure dashed downstairs. The girl flattened to one side as a short man shoved past her. Amber shone from the miniature traffic light attached to his chest. "You again," Maybrick said. The man scanned the area as he moved. Then he shot straight into the black mist. It sensed him and moved to meet him. He moved faster. Black mist tentacles shot out and wrapped around his limbs and torso. Tentacles sprout thorns. They pierced him from all sides. One shot right through his eardrum. His eyes popped as black mist pulled him into its mass. He disappeared. The amber light catapulted out, landing at Maybrick's feet. It cut out, lifeless. I tell each of them when they first board my bus, red is to stay, green is to go. Amber, you are simply between the two, and it could go either way. Maybrick reached down and picked up the light. The girl looked down at the ground as she stepped off the bus. Meek was the word that came to mind when I watched her. Maybrick unclipped the green light attached to her. "You are his responsibility now." Maybrick loomed over her, making her step back. "Word of advice. You have seen what happens here, yes?" She nodded. If her eyes could scream, they would have. "I would recommend you behave. Guardian, Livy is all yours." He gave a gentle nod. "Mortimer will show you in." I gestured to the entrance. "Woof." Mortimer watched the girl step on the porch before he entered the house. She followed him in. Maybrick looked at the black mist. "You should feed your pet from time to time, Guardian." The mist bellowed. Until next time." Maybrick turned and stepped onto the bus. The door closed with a release of air. I looked at the top floor to see several passengers sat, eyes down, as if they were looking at the back of the seat in front of them. Each one had a red light attached to their chest. Passengers on the bottom floor talked amongst themselves. Each one had an amber light attached to their chest. A young man looked at me, turning his head as the bus left. Veering left, it drove into the black mist. In seconds, only its rear lights were visible. Snap. They were gone. Only the ocean of mist remained. I entered the lounge. Mortimer sat on his rug, watched the girl who perched on the edge of the armchair. "Come at me if you like. I ain't scared," she said. Do you know why you were on the bus? Livy nodded. It's because of what I did. Begin there. Livy scrunched her hands together. She looked tiny in the big armchair. It's nothing. One of them cut my mate, so we went looking for her. I was with Amanda. We walked across the estate. We both had our blades on us. Mine was inside my jacket pocket. It was a 12-inch kitchen knife. Looked mean. Needed it. Got a photo from Becca that the girl was on Mornington Road, so we legged it down there. I looked at Livy. It's nothing. The girl was walking with her mate like nothing's happened. Amanda grabbed her and pushed her on the fence. The girl pushed Amanda back, so I pulled my knife and jammed her side. Deep in. It got stuck, so I yanked it hard. It wouldn't budge. Bloody stuck in there. The girl collapsed. Her mate screamed, but Amanda decked her and she fell on her mate. It was funny, like in the films. Amanda was yelling at me. It was quick. Something happened. I was just watching them both on the ground. Her mate was out cold. The girl was breathing funny. I remember. Amanda said something. Oh yeah, get the knife. Get the knife. I stood on her and pulled it out. Livy looked around at the black mist rolling into the lounge. She pushed back in her chair. What's that? It wants to listen to you. Remain seated and you will be fine. The girl was lying there with a red blotch on her school shirt. Amanda grabbed my arm, pulling me away. We legged it out of there before anyone saw us. That's it. Ain't nothing new. Livy said. Mortimer raised his head and looked at Livy. What's with him? He is curious. Maybrick's bus only collects wayward souls. Continue, please. We went back to the estate. Becca met us there. Me and Amanda were blazing, telling Becca it's been sorted. It was mad. 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 Becca said we messed up. We got some other girl. It wasn't the one she wanted done in. Livy looked at the flames in the fireplace. I stabbed some random girl. Had to do it. Ain't nothing. Becca told me to lay low for a bit. Keep out of sight. Me and Amanda went back to our hangout. It was safe. Just got to stay in for a few days. No biggie. Popo saw us, so we split up. I headed out of the estate. One of them was following me. I kept going, heading for the shopping center. Got to the main road. He was still coming. I turned down a side street to cross the road. That was it. Don't remember getting hit by a car. Then the bus pulled up. That creep got off it and told me to get on. I saw myself lying there, blood coming out my head. Same as that girl's shirt turning red. That creep grabbed me and slammed that light into my chest. It flicked to red. Still feel it now. It was attached to your soul, I said. He told me that only when it turns green can I get off the bus. Until then, I gotta ride the bus. He smiled at me like he was getting off on it. I was sure he was going to get his willy out. But then he said, each night my greatest hits will play out on the window of the bus, so I can relive what I'd done and what was done to me. He said he looked forward to watching what they did to me. Bloody creep. Livy wiped her cheek with the back of her hand. She looked at her hands, scrunching them together. Jumping was the worst. If I didn't do it, they won't let me in. They battered me, all of them, kept kicking and punching me till I blacked out. Wasn't the worst of it. Phew. I tricked my friend to come with me and then forced her to have sex for money. That was one of those things on the list. They have a list that you gotta finish if you want to get in. I had to do that, so I did it. That creep then sat next to me, up close and tight. He played how the boys passed me around. I had to do what they wanted me to do. I had to take it if I wanted to join. Livy wiped her wet cheeks. It's nothing. Nothing. Everyone does it. She looked at me. Can I ask you something? I nodded. Why do you dress like him? Only your color is different. Guess you like dark blue. I smiled. I prefer that look for now. Maybrick used to live in England, late 1800s. That was the trend in high society back then. He must have been harsh, being on the bus like that, conductor and all, Livy said. He had to leave his home due to a spate of murders in Whitechapel, I said. You gonna stick me in a cell now? This is some kind of jail, right? I looked at Livy. Come with me. I stood up. Mortimer got up and watched Livy get up. I walked out of the lounge, strode along the long corridor to the stairs on the left. Down 3 steps, I stopped on the square landing at a door. I opened the door to reveal a room with 3 doors. Red, amber, and green. Livy descended the stairs and looked at the doors. What am I choosing? Your actions cannot go unchecked, irrespective of how young you are. You must decide whether to pay your recompense now. I pointed to the green door. Much later, I pointed at the red door. Return to your old ways. I pointed to the amber door. If you choose this one, be sure to take your blade with you. Livy stood, feet together. She looked at the red door, and then the amber one, and then the green. Mortimer barked at the red door. Livy looked at him. He nodded. My old friend is correct. It is better to begin your recompense now rather than leave it for later. Your progression will be much faster. Livy nodded. Okay. Livy walked to the red door. I opened the door to reveal a grey cell that contained a single bunk, washing facilities, and an empty bookshelf. A long rectangle skylight made of thick perspex finished the room. She entered. Her clothes immediately changed to that of an inmate. She turned and faced me. How long do I have to be in here? You decide when you want to leave. I touched my heart. You will know, in here. I clasped the handle of the door. When you are ready, I will open the door for you. Mortimer looked at Livy and nodded. Livy went to the bunk and sat down. I closed the door. Mortimer and I turned and ascended the stairs and walked back to the lounge. Mortimer went to his rug and sat down, head on paws, closed his eyes. I sat on my armchair and gazed at the flames in the fireplace. I pondered a thought. If someone had been there early for Livy, guiding her, explaining her options, would it have made a difference to her? Even a small difference could have prevented her from coming here. She will not be the last young lady to patron my house. Maybrick will bring more of them. Soon. Of that I have no doubt. We all have to pay our recompense, even you. See you next Sunday at 11. Godspeed.